instead of diuka, he says, Hai duvka didachu. You connected that. You made that connection. Do you have another guess or another in the notes? No, you don't have that. Okay, but anyway, he says that was your own assumption, and that's not accurate. So therefore, we stay with that answer. V'kal say Rabbi Yochanan. This is very interesting the way it's printed here. The printer would usually do this when we're to put those two. Is that called a colon when it's diamonds? When it's
yeah,
it's still called a colon.
Yeah, so the semicolon is the one.
Fancy colon.
An expensive one. So when it has those two colons very close to one another, the quote in the middle would be a quote from a Mishnah.
Would be what?
Like the quote from a Mishnah. It's re-quoting the Mishnah, and it goes back to the Mishnah, and it says, and it would start explaining it. Let's say it would now say, "V'chol hashrotzim mitzdarfen," and it would re-quote the Mishnah. Mm-hmm. Now it's not re-quoting the Mishnah; it's quoting a Rabbi Yochanan praised Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina for saying that brisa, which is interesting. It's just a printing thing. Okay, Meisvei. They have a question over here. If it's a full limb, then there's no shear. We mentioned this before. If there's a full limb that has the bones and the sinews and the meat, so then that is, if someone eats that, then it could even be less than a kazayas, and even less than a adasha of a sheretz, even less than a bean of one of those creeping creatures is metama. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan, and Rabbi Yochanan says, "In leiken aleim ela bekazayas." And 1 second, let me clarify this. That was referring to tumah, not eating. Ivar mein lem shear fel pachas mikazayis min avela is referring to tumah, and pachas min adar min asheretz, that's mitamin. When it comes to eating, Rabbi Yochanan says it needs to be a kazayis. So now we have a question. How could we say before that Rabbi Yochanan just praised Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina for mentioning a brisa that says that even bekadasha, if it's dead, achila is bekadasha, and we said that it's when it's dead. How could you say that? Over here we say that it's a kazayas. How could you say it's a kadasha? Kadasha is smaller, it's a bean. So we have a contradiction in Rabbi Yochanan's opinion. Gemara answers Amar Rava ben Migdal and Dibar Kassid. It's not a contradiction, because there's two types of creeping creatures. There's the 8 creeping creatures, the Shmeina Shratzim, that those are B'Kadasha, those are the ones that are Tamei. And then we have other creatures. Those are need to be a Kazayas. So we're making a distinction there between the type of creature.
It's interesting, but I wonder what its basis is.
So probably the basis is because the tumah for those is on a adasha. No, but then if that's the case,
no, that's his conclusion. Is it because they're specified in a pasuk?
Problem is this: the Amar Rabbi Yochanan ein leiken aleim ela bekazayas looks like it's a continuation of pachas mekadashim min asheretz mitamin. It looks like it's referring to the same ones.
So can I have my third one for the Rabbi Yochanan says that this mission is referring to the halachas of Tumah. But with regards to the minimum measure for eating, then the person gets malchus only if it's a kazayas.
Yeah, but now, based on that, now let's go back and reread this after Amarava. After this comment, what is that? What type of shratzim is the Bais referring to? Is it referring to the 8 that give off impurity, or is it referring to the other ones?
It doesn't say.
Okay, so now read the Amarava.
Also,
in the Amarava.
But also the whole thing of it's a whole limb as opposed to a part of a limb.
Okay, that I understand.
Okay. Rabbi says in resolution to the apparent contradiction between the Rabbi Yochanan statement when Rabbi Yochanan said that one is flogged for eating even a lentil bulk of a creeping animal, he was referring only to those 8 creeping animals of which the pasuk speaks, which were separated from all other creeping animals.
Right.
The Torah lists 8 types of creeping animals. Rabbi Yochanan was referring specifically to those 8. He maintains that one is flogged for eating a lentil bulk of such creatures, whereas in the case of other creeping animals, it's flogged malchus only for eating an ala kazayas.
Okay, so now our question is, when you go back to this brisa, which one is that referring to? I know it's referring to the 8 shratzim, because it says there's tumah even on asher. And then I have a statement of Rabbi Yochanan that says it's a kazayas. So that's referring to the other creeping creatures. So what that comes out is that Rabbi Yochanan's statement is not a continuation from the source. That's what comes out. Okay. Amalei Ravada Barava Larava.
But on one, the person's getting malchus if it's a kazayas. But if it's less than a kazayas, it's still isra. It's still usra.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand. I'm just saying that when I have now a statement over here that says the lentil size, and then I have another statement that says olive, so Rabbi Yochanan wouldn't say an olive size on the 8 creatures that are even when he talks about eating them, right?
Right.
So this must mean that this is, if Rabbi Yochanan is a continuation of that, then that must mean that that's referring to the other creatures, not the 8. But then it's a problem, because why does it say it's lentil? So it must mean that Rabbi Yochanan is not really a continuation. That's all we're pointing out. Okay, so Ravada Barava says, I don't know if he's going to be here. Rava. We've had him before, but he doesn't. When we had Ravada Barava, we mentioned that the name Ada ends in an aleph and the Ava ends in a hey. We spoke about Hebrew names or Yiddish names. Remember we mentioned that? All Yiddish names end in an aleph, and Hebrew names end in a hey. That's how we write them.
So this guy was?
No, it's just that's a siman to remember how to spell the Hebrew names in a get or anything else.
Or ksuba.
So in ksuba, it's not as specific in the get. It's like it's makiv,
So Rav Ada didn't make it onto the chart.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's common. So Amalei Ravada Barava LaRava Elamayata Behema Nami Liflgi Bein Mavdelas Shel Mavdelas. This is a very it's I don't really understand the basis for the question, but he's asking, okay, if you're making a distinction between the 8 creatures and the other creatures, that one is a lentil and one is a kazayas, so then maybe you should make a distinction also between 2 types of nevelas. A nevela of a kosher animal and a nevela of a non-kosher animal. That a kosher animal would be a kazayas, but a behemoth tameya, a non-kosher animal, would be a kebeya, the size of an egg. Now, I'm not sure if that's because of the tumah is the size of an egg. I'm not sure the basis for that. But anyway, he answers, Amalei, Rava responds to him that, look, Kika makish rachman al-abal tashaksu. What's the aleph? Aval. You have to even take that out. Kika makish rachman al-abal tashaksu. The Torah was just giving us the prohibition there. It wasn't telling us the measurements. So it wasn't telling us that we need some sort of some sort of comparison regarding the size of how much a person eats. It's just telling us that there's another prohibition if someone eats something that's not kosher, that he has the prohibition of Bal Tashakza. Okay, let's leave it at that.
Thank you.
Take care.
Want to go further?